Welcome to the Intercut Podcast, a weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Arturo Zurita.
Hey, I don't want any association with that lady whatsoever. I disagree with both of them, but I definitely do not want to be compared to her at the moment. But I'm excited to be here. It's funny. I was looking back at all of the podcasts we probably follow. They look a little different, because they're all at home now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like we've been this entire time. We look exactly the same. Nothing has changed.
Ain't nothing changing about Intercut except for our internal anxiety levels. Also joining us, he fed his ex to a tiger. It's producer intern Fernando. Say what up, Fernando.
What's up? I don't know about that, but yeah, when you think about it, everyone's like copying our style. Like we've been doing it like this consistently.
We've been social distancing for a while now, and it just feels like everybody else is.
Like we have the option to do everything in studio, but like we choose not to.
We chose not to.
Yeah.
Rip the contract right in front.
We prefer it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're actually
now all
in the
you
same
get to learn
building.
about it too. Yeah. Art's just downstairs. So you get to jump on the Intercut bandwagon with us right now. We're going to explore some stuff in a little bit. We'll talk about Oscars, Disney Plus, and maybe some on-demand stuff as well. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the Intercut Podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio podcast, which is available on most podcatchers. Check out Spotify, check out Apple Podcasts, all those good ones. Also, follow Intercut on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We are at IntercutPod, giving you memes, giving you tweets, giving you teasers, all sorts of good stuff, including our picks for the week. In case you missed those, we're sending out graphics for those too, so you get recommendations, all that good stuff. Make sure you're following us on social at IntercutPod, at IntercutPod. That's short for podcast. All right, we're going to start the show the way we started every week here with what we're watching, but I know something you've been watching. Tell me a little about Quibi.
Well, I'll do it in a Quibi or less. Quibi is a new app. We had talked about it a while ago because we knew all the money that was going behind it. It's $2 billion in funding from the guy who ran Disney back in the 90s and all this, and it's short form. 10 minutes or less. You can only watch it on your phone. You and I complained about we can't get Apple TV on the TV. You can't get this on the TV at all. They want you to do this on the
Quick
go.
bites.
And what better time to release something that should be seen on the go than the time when everyone is at home? They're giving 90 days free, so like literally anybody could try it at the moment. But it's trash. Here's the thing about it. You need good content on there. And so far it feels, what I've been calling it is rich people YouTube. I've heard some people compare it to the when you're pumping gas. I know in Jersey they pump it for you, but everywhere else, when you're pumping gas, they play a little something on the gas station TV.
Yeah, the gas station
TV. It feels like that. And they want you to pay $5 a month with ads still. $8 with no ads. Other than that, they do have... I'll talk about the stuff that they're really trying to hype up. A couple of the shows, for example, When the Street Lights Go On, I want to say is what it is. Out of their 5 movie shows, because they're taking their... however long their movies are, chopping them up to fit ads in there. But they're, it's like 10-minute chapters. They compare it to the Da Vinci Code, surprisingly. That's not one of the things I had in the LME. They said that Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code was like 100 and something pages. And he made, or 100 and something chapters, because he made each chapter 10 pages long. He wanted people to read it on the go, and that's what inspired them, and they came up with Quibi. When the Streetlights Goes On is, out of the 5 movies that they came out with, one of the only decent ones, and that's only because I think what's going to make it work best is its podcast-like style,
Right.
So anything really is a movie won't fit, I don't think. Go ahead.
There's been some interesting articles coming out about how podcast consumption has gone down. Please keep listening to the Intercut podcast. But you look at the way that people's lifestyles have changed, and like podcasts are really great for commuting. They're really great for busy work, and I think we generally have a lot less of that. Like we're doing a lot more active watching than passive listening, and I don't know if Quibi is designed for this kind of a situation. Like, it does do this interesting thing where it's like it's entertainment skewed to you if you don't have a lot of time to consume entertainment. It sounds interesting, but there's better places, I think, to get that. Like you keep saying in your video, what's wrong with YouTube in that situation? Especially when the content itself on Quibi seems so lackluster. And I think maybe this is part, you look at Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's a guy who has been in Hollywood for many, many years, and he comes from the Hollywood tradition of you got to get big names on the poster. Those big names on posters don't sell movies anymore. The same way that you look at like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not about who they get to star in it. It's about the heroes now. And I don't think that there's the actual content, the actual IP to drive people to Quibi the way they think it will.
And we're in the era, I mean, look, I want to ask Fernando because he's the youngest out of all of us, but just being honest,
how often when you watch something, do you want to just turn it to the side?
Hey, and how often does it matter when it doesn't do a damn thing? It's empty promises as of now.
That whole aspect of it I found super interesting, and if you look at it like in an interactive way, like I guess. But in reality, like I never show my friends a video on YouTube vertically on purpose. I always try to turn that, right? So I don't understand the appeal in that, to be honest. And like in your LME, you say like sometimes you'll be doing it and like it cuts people out, obviously, and then you turn it back and then you're like, wait, what just happened? That seems really like counterproductive to me.
Especially after the Simpsons thing with the framing.
And then like, the IP just isn't there. Like I don't know. I didn't know any shows off the top of my head except the Sophie Turner one, I think. The one where like the crash.
It's not good. Yeah, it's not good.
And the Chrissy's Court, because that was just being advertised everywhere, I think. But yeah, it just seems like maybe, who knows, maybe it's like an Apple TV thing and they haven't put all their best stuff out yet. But
that's a problem. That's why I think the rollout is a fail. But
it's interesting because, like you mentioned in your video, they have all these potential shows coming. But why wouldn't you lead with at least one thing that really is going to drive people to the platform?
Exactly.
Right?
And they did give us, I always say a rule, and it still applies to them. I don't care how they cut up their content. If you give me 3 episodes to watch, right? That's 3 episodes into your season or your movie show. I should have a gist of it. If after 3 episodes I'm not into it, there is a problem. And they did a cool thing of releasing the first 3. But they also want you to tune in a little bit daily. That's like their big thing. They want you to tune in like from Monday to Friday type thing. And I'm sure in a commuting world, this may have hit off a lot better, but even in a commuting world, if we were actually doing something, this failed in a time where there's no distractions, and it couldn't even get our attention for 10 minutes or less. So that is a rough start, but who knows? Maybe by the end of the year they will have some. Just like Apple TV, there's a lot of money, $1 billion just in ads. So you will be hearing about this. If someone keeps telling me, it's like, I see ads for this everywhere. I was like, $1 billion in ads. In fact, that's how much. The other $1 billion in contents, but hopefully the other 500 mil is where the quality is, and that'll come in later in the year. Spielberg, Guillermo, we'll see.
Remains to be seen. Hopefully we'll get some more Quibi updates throughout the year from you, Art. But what else have you been watching? Anything better out there? Anything else interesting?
If I told you there was a show that took Atlanta, the whitest parts of Atlanta, and Zach Stone is going to be famous.
I believe I know the show that you're talking about.
What is it?
Dave.
How did you know? Have you been watching it?
I've been on Hulu and they're advertising it a lot. I haven't yet seen it, but Little Dicky's got a show of his own. He's following Donald Glover into the FX universe. What do you think about Dave so far?
Clearly my analogy works since you knew what show I was talking about. Yeah. I just started watching it this morning. I was doing dishes and I was like, Dave? Is that what I'm about to watch? Is Dave? I click it, and I will say this. It is funny. I don't know if you've caught any episodes at all.
No.
I've only caught like 3, and it's funny in the sense of the fact that it's got some good zingers, some good jokes in there. Mm-hmm. And while it's almost Atlanta, as you could see from the way that he's trying to navigate the rap cycle, but then he's also like trying to play off that persona that Zach Stone had, and where he's also a big part of the storyline is his girlfriend. And I love Zach Stone. We love Atlanta. This is somewhere right there in between. It's too cringy to recommend, but there are some good jokes in there. Like, Alina was able to catch one of the last episodes with me, and it does have some good lines, but then the rest of it is like, I cannot have this too loud because my neighbors are going to think that I'm watching Little Dicky's Dave on FX.
Is this a show for anybody who has seen a Little Dicky video and not enjoyed it? Or is it only the people who like all of his content out there already?
No, it's the first one because the whole point of the whole point of the series is he's trying to get that demographic. While
Right, so it's very
failing
much-
at getting. Dude, the first episode is him with YG. And he's like, YG, if I had you, I'd be able to do it. I'd be able to make it. And he's like, all right, give me 10K. And his parents are like, 10K? You're going to give your bar mitzvah money to a YG? Like, they literally think YG stands for YG. Like, nah. Like, it's funny to a degree, but it's like it's ironic that the show that's about him being better in the rap sphere is doing him no favors in the rap sphere. So that's almost funny in and of itself. So that's the one recommendation I'll give it. But no, if you're not a fan of Lil Dicky, maybe not. Maybe not.
All right, curious about that one. Fernando, you want to hit us with any of the what you've been watching?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have we talked about it, but I mean, I think we've all seen Tiger King at this point. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I feel like Netflix has been waiting for its bird box of coronavirus, and this is pretty much that, right?
Very good. Yeah.
Yes, very much.
I would agree. So yeah, watched the whole series, 7 episodes I think it was, and we still have a mystery 8 episode coming out supposedly
On the way. Yes, sir.
sometime soon.
Which I have some doubts about, but continue.
Yeah, very interesting show, a docu-series. You know, it's blowing up everywhere. It's even being talked about in White House press briefings now, about this like section of humanity that I can't even believe it is real, of people that breed big cats, that love big cats, and some of the mischievous things they get into, you know, a murder plot, a whole bunch of stuff. And I'll say by the end of it, I was entertained, but the more I thought about it, the more on like an actual like docu-series, when looking at it as a docu-series, I think some of it did kind of fall short. I feel like it was dragged on a little bit too much. I think it could have been shorter, and I think some of the later episodes did lose steam, at least for me, versus the beginning episodes, which was like beat after beat of like insanity, and then the last couple episodes kind of like lost that for me. But overall, I see why it's blown up everywhere, because it's insane, and it's just like hard to comprehend.
To you, Fernando, what is the plot? What is the point of the docu-series Tiger King?
I have no idea.
What did you get out of it? What is the story to you in 10 seconds? Like, if you had explained to somebody, these are the characters and this is what's happening.
My first initial reaction was to say something about like animal rights, like activism and stuff. Like whichever, none of these characters are likable. None of the characters are right. The only and like they say in the final episode, but it's like, it's mainly about the animals, right? Either way, like they don't win, and that's the tragic part that the docu-series, I guess, is trying to show. I don't know if they're like if they show it effectively enough as like the forefront, where it's more about the forefront is being placed on the people, and the animals are kind of just in the background. But I know a lot of people don't want to watch the show either, because they know how they're gonna show animals being like mistreated and stuff like that.
I know some people who have been hesitant to actually take on the docuseries just because of that whole threat of animal abuse that's lingering over it. And some of that is pretty difficult to watch, I would say. But, the documentary does sort of have that conclusion of letting you ruminate on the idea that there are so many of these animals in captivity when their numbers are dwindling in the wild, and how tragic that is. I don't know if that's necessarily like the through line of the documentary.
Hell no, that's what they ended it on and said, here's the message.
Right? Like, for the most part, it just kind of feels like an increasingly bizarre SNL skit where they keep introducing some character. And like, I mean, the way, that this documentary can get through like 2 full episodes before delving into the Carol Baskin murder plot, 4 full episodes before they even introduce that Jeff Lowe dude.
Yeah.
It's just this constant barrage of eccentric characters and not, people of varying degrees of ethical goodness. I don't know. It's fascinating. It's often uncomfortable. I don't know how I feel about it as like a documentary, just in terms of the filmmaking and the ethics behind it. But you have to give it just the fact that it is intensely bingeable and hard to put down.
Yeah. It's almost like, and someone had said this previously when they talked about like Netflix documentaries are covering all the stuff that nobody else dares to touch. Specifically, this one, he even said it. One of the guys who was in the documentary who was claiming, he's like, I tried to sell this everywhere that I possibly could. But it looks like Netflix was one to pick it up. Zach brought it up, and we were talking about this even beforehand, like the ethics side of it. A lot of people have come out of it like they think Joe is the underdog, which I never understood. I thought we were all in agreement they were all crazy. But like Zach said, this is the only reason I don't want to say it's fully a documentary series, and it's less like an episode of I don't know, you pick yours. Murray. What's the other one where they always used to fight on all the time? It was like daytime television where they just manipulate.
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. It honestly feels like that, and a lot of people came out like saying screws Carol Baskin, which, hey, I don't even want to say her name. All these people coming out trying to get Carol Baskin. They're all up in her Facebook page. Yeah. Like, you know who y'all look like? If you're telling me that this woman got away with murder, then y'all look like that guy who tried taking down Bruce Wayne. And what'd they tell him? It's not going to work. She already got away with it. Everyone's praising this dude over here, Joe, because he's in... is his name Joe? What's his name again?
Joe Exotic, yeah.
Okay, Joe. I was just thinking Joe because Joe Dirt. That he's in jail, and everyone's still defending him. And then what did it come out with? What did they come out with recently? All the racist parts from the Joe Exotic have been cut out. We all said, yeah, they manipulated it. That's what I mean by them, by it being less of a documentary series, because they're not really showing you who they are. They're showing you who they can be to go viral on a Netflix show. And if it undermines things like people rooting for Joe, and then they go, wait, that guy's a what? I saw so many people make their videos. And then the follow-ups had to be, wait a minute, Joe wants to say a certain word, or Joe this, or Joe that.
For all of the drug abuse discussed and shown sometimes on the documentary, there's, I would believe, a lot more drug abuse happening that's not being talked about, not being shown, and feels like it's kind of being exploited by the documentary. But, you know, it is fascinating to see these characters and just that we live in a country that allows these personalities to become powerful to a certain extent.
We like them. And the power that they felt from the animals. I only have one question from there. I'm sure you guys have heard about the lawsuits since we just talked about the ethics of the thing. Carol is suing them because when they came to her, they said, oh, yeah, we're just going to cover your husband just for a little bit. And then it ended up being an entire episode. So now she's in the lawsuit. It'll be interesting to see how they carry stuff out from now on, realizing that Netflix can't just make a documentary and say, like, here's this. Because it's crazy that they got the actual people who they are tearing down to be subjects on board to the documentary.
That's one of the things that as I was watching, I was like, I can't believe these people are
duping
just like,
these people.
Okay with it? And I also feel like I wonder how many lawsuits have been thrown against Netflix things. I feel like there's one with every show now.
Easily.
Yeah.
And they got big pockets. I'm sure they got a lot of good lawyers.
Yeah.
Sticking with the tiger theme on Netflix, there is a movie coming out, should be out today, the day that the podcast is released, called Tigertail. Tigertail is a multilingual drama story written and directed by Alan Yang, who we like from his work on Masters of None. We like from his work creating the show Forever on Amazon. We like for a lot of the stuff that he's done. He's a really talented writer, really interesting guy. And it's been also interesting to see him kind of extend his purview. You know, he, I think, got his big break writing for Parks and Recreation, just an out-and-out sitcom. And gradually, through all the things that I've been mentioning, it feels like he's been leaning a little bit closer and closer to dramatic work. And, you know, here that comes together in telling a story of a man reflecting on his life and his immigration story, being raised in Taiwan and moving to America. It's really beautiful in parts, and if you're a fan of Master of None, it'll probably remind you of the episode, I believe the episode is called Parents, where Aziz and his friend Alan in the show talk to their parents about their journeys to America. It's really beautiful in parts, particularly the cinematography. I think there's a palette that you can recognize from his work in Master of None. This kind of like subdued, but really like sexy lighting they have in certain points. It's fun to watch. Certain shots really stuck out. I do think the movie moves pretty slowly, and that it gets kind of dragged down in its middle section. I liked more in the beginning when it was jumping back and forth through time a little bit and leaving things a bit of a mystery. But then the drama slows down. It feels a little bit more typical. But I like the ending, and I'm really interested to see in what this guy does next. I want to say this is his debut feature film. And for a debut to be it's in 3 languages, it takes place across several decades, across a couple countries. Like, it's a really impressive movie. And I'm hoping some people get the chance to check it out when it's on Netflix.
Dope.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Something that's not as good that should be on Netflix today, another movie called Love Wedding Repeat. It's got a weird assembly of talent here. Sam Claflin in the lead. You got Olivia Munn. You got Freida Pinto. A few other recognizable British stars. The premise made me think of a movie that we liked a lot in Sundance called Palm Springs, which it's essentially like a wedding plays over again and again. This one has that framing. For some reason, it waits until an hour into the movie to do anything with that framing.
Yeah.
Which to me was the most mystifying part. Like, that's the thing that kind of makes this potentially an exciting movie.
And they don't do it.
It's fully relegating it to the last little bit of the movie. It's when they played around with that I found it to be structurally exciting. The rest of it's just kind of not very well drawn. The characters are hard to define, and in a movie that's about like inner squabbling or just like all these arguments happening between the characters, you need to know who the characters are and what the stakes are. I thought there was a couple dumb, funny lines that were thrown out here and there. Fernando did not think so.
Yeah,
he had a
Yeah, Zach, I think you're referring to the movie as being hot garbage. That's what it was. Yeah, this was probably one of like my worst movies I've seen in a while that I can remember. It definitely
worse than Downhill.
Worse than Downhill, yes. I'd watch Downhill before I watched this again. Definitely has that like Netflix sort of. I'm trying to think of like other movies I could kind of like compare it to, but it has that like Netflix like.
There is a certain half-baked quality that a lot of Netflix movies have, and this one does not feel fully developed.
Yeah. Just like you said, all the characters, like, none of them feel like real or developed in any sort of way. They all just feel like they're saying, like, lines and not even funny jokes or anything. A lot of it comes off as very cringe. And maybe some people like that, but I guess when I wasn't in the mood that day that I was watching it to sit through a bunch of cringe jokes over and over again. Sexist kind of jokes, stuff like that. And yeah, wasn't for me, to say the least.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought, I didn't catch it, so I
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you guys are split on it a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, I'm definitely not giving it a recommendation, although I don't think it's quite as terrible as Fernando did. But I don't know. Maybe the Inner Cuties will check it out and let us know who was right on Love Wedding Repeat. Did we have any other what we're watching, or should we move on to some yay or nays?
I think that's it. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
Yeah. Let's move on.
All right, so let us know what you've been watching in the comments on YouTube or by shooting us an email. The address for that is intercutpod@gmail.com. We move on to Yay or Nay, where we break down the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. There are a couple, even as Hollywood grinds to a halt as we all wait inside for some new movies. But some news came across today that Disney Plus, which has been available for 6 months now, by the way, has announced that their streaming service is up to 50 million subscribers. Netflix currently is the leader for streaming with its 167 million subscribers. So, Art, yay or nay, Disney Plus will surpass Netflix in the next 3 years. It's already almost a third of the way there.
No.
Not even 3 years, you think enough to do it?
3.5 maybe, but no, I don't think so, because you have to imagine that Netflix is also going to grow.
Right. That being said, Disney has had less time and has already gotten out to this huge number. Certainly doing better numbers than Quibi will be after 6 months.
I don't know if we know Apple's numbers or to compare it with other numbers. 50 is definitely a lot, but it's like those numbers is what you would expect from Disney,
Yeah.
Right.
Like if anybody else did that, it'd be like, holy smokes, a third. It's like, yeah, this is Disney, of course. Yeah. I think that after 6 months, that shows you what their rate of growth is going to be. And I think it's even a little bit different because it's their first year. Their growth works a little bit. It's all at one big chunk. And then later, you have to remember this also. I and a lot of everybody else who has a Verizon account are on there for free.
Right.
That'll change. A lot of these are everybody so far as of now. This was a really big thing while I was doing my Quibi research. They're all, unlike cable, able to cancel at any month, which means at any point you're lagging on your side of content. I'll be back when Mandalorian comes back. Same way people did HBO. I'll come back when Game of Thrones comes back on. People do not realize that, and people don't do this with their Netflix because they share Netflixes. And also shows you what Netflix has that they don't. You never really see a big drought. Bro, it feels like Tiger Kings come out every single week over on Netflix. You understand what I'm saying? They're finding ways. We used to just be like, and we still do it. There's nothing to watch on Netflix, but we're talking about something on Netflix. What was the last thing we talked about on Disney Plus other than The Mandalorian?
Forky asks a question.
Forky asks a question. I actually had to think of what it was, and I remembered. And that's the most terrible thing. All the stock stuff that like usually comes with your Samsung phone. That's what all these streaming services feel. They're not going to be there after the first year. And Netflix had that too. All the early shows aren't there anymore.
Right. Yeah, so, I think it's an interesting number in terms of how quickly they've been able to close the gap, if that's the terminology you want to use. But I think the thing that's notable is we've been talking in recent weeks about all these properties moving from Disney Plus to Hulu. They had High Fidelity, that went to Hulu. They had the Love, Simon spinoff, that's going to Hulu now. And it seems more and more like Disney is kind of very carefully manicuring what appears.
They have
Disney
something.
Plus.
Yeah.
And I think right now, after 6 months, if you were looking for the streaming service that has all the Disney movies, that has The Simpsons, that has all the Marvel movies and Star Wars stuff, you'd probably have signed up.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to change in the next 6 months to a year, other than some new Marvel stuff popping up that's really going to change their numbers significantly.
I think the only reason that they would do the 3-year thing is how they play their Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
They've really upset their Star Wars fan base, and that 50 mil, I want to say, is the Star Wars fan base, like you said, and everybody else who's there for the stuff that's there. The only other big push, it's not going to be a Disney original. All that good stuff, like you said, is going to Hulu, which I don't know their numbers, but I would love to see Hulu surpass. Even with the Plus bundle deals that they have, they'd be able to score some stuff. The thing with Disney would be their Marvel shows and how those tie into their movies. Because remember, they are forcing you to watch the movies so they fit in. I had mentioned, I believe they're going to make Wanda a really big character. And what's her next property? Only available on Disney Plus. And to make her something that's going to be crucial for the movies, or whatever character it's going to be, they've said it. They said you need to watch in order to be a part of the movies. And how many of us watch the movies? They're banking on all those people to get an account.
Exactly. If Loki is a Mandalorian-like breakout success, I could see them getting a lot closer to Netflix.
You don't even need the Mandalorian to have seen well, you need a lot of other things to see the last Star Wars movie. But you will have to see it. This is they're forcing you. You won't be able to follow along with everybody else. Do you think it'll pass?
I personally don't. Like I think we've talked about this before, but Netflix has kind of made its name synonymous with watching stuff at home, the way that Google is the name for searching things. I think that does Quibi a lot, and for quick bites. Just that brand recognition alone, not to mention the constant churn of content. Like we've been, we talked about, there's always stuff coming out on Netflix. We've been, off the show, we've been talking about all the stuff to look forward to that's coming out on Netflix. Shouts to the Yeti. We will be on Netflix for the foreseeable future. I haven't watched Disney Plus in I don't know how long, except for they dropped Frozen 2, and I figured I should probably catch up with that.
I'm sure you guys have a streaming folder, so I keep all my apps in the streaming folder, but I had Disney Plus outside of it because I was like, bro, Disney Plus. Yeah, it was last week when I went, what is this doing out of the folder? Put it back in the folder, yeah. Netflix. Go on the wiki page for Netflix and upcoming productions. See when your finger gets tired. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. When the whole pandemic came down, they said, we're good. We got enough till 2021.
I think a big part of it, I mean, you guys have touched on the content for sure. I think another big part of why Disney Plus was able to boom so fast was like the ridiculously low price point. Like,
and availability. Great point. Yeah, and availability. They was everywhere.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how long they keep it that way. You know, like Netflix obviously over the several years have increased their price.
Yeah. Especially if they start to hurt for money based on this whole situation. Yeah. Very interesting to see what the future of Disney Plus will be. But while the Oscars, 2021 Oscars, are still 10 months away, the truncated 2020 movie season is already throwing awards into disarray. The Academy is set to meet this week to apparently discuss changing eligibility requirements. But Art, yay or nay, the Academy has to delay its 2021 Oscar ceremony to make up for coronavirus.
I don't really know, because 2 months have been completely halted with more, unless we have people telling us, we're going to get back to normal in May. What? Okay. So we don't even know how many more. But even if it took the whole summer, I think, and this is something that a lot of other people have been arguing, including, we had mentioned earlier, we'll mention a little bit later, Sony Pictures Classic had mentioned that they really want to bombard the theatrical season when everybody comes back. They believe there's going to be a boost like never before. That sounds like people who need you to go somewhere. I need you to come make sales in my business. That's the type of talk that sounds like. But we all know Oscar season is the fall. So that's still not here. I don't know if, usually, and we know this, most of the ones that compete, that period has not arrived yet, so I don't feel like they're scared as of yet. The people announcing it may be people who were hoping that their movies right now would have had some legs. It's just one of those where just, Coachella didn't get postponed first. It wasn't until we got there, South by got postponed first, and then we came to the other one. So as of now, it's not a worry too much. That's why I can't give it a yay or nay. I don't know what yours would be, but it will be, like I said, if fall comes around and they realize, we have no way to distribute it. Then we'll see if that quote that I'm staring at right now, and I'll finish quoting later, about movies don't count unless they have a theatrical run. That's how it's always been done. Okay. Okay.
Right. I'm going to go nay in terms of delaying it, but obviously, we are not healthcare experts or future seers or whatever. We don't know what February 2021 is going to look like necessarily. But like you said, the award season in which we get most of our Oscars movies, is later in the year anyway. I think the kind of breaking point for me is if some of those fall festivals, Toronto, Telluride, Venice, can't happen. If those can't happen in usually it's like first week of September area, then you start to think like, I don't know if these movies are really going to be able to get out and get that kind of release. That being said, maybe this is just because like I'm weird in my appreciation for the Oscars, but I think the Oscars are always a reflection of history and that moment in history. And what a better way to reflect this moment in history than, do something about our current situation, either change the rules for a limited set of time, or, we do have a truncated season and you have to pick from less movies. Tough. The 2021 Oscars may be a bit weak. The 2022 Oscars are about to be awesome.
My gosh.
I just kind of want as many things to feel normal as possible, and maybe that means that the Oscars aren't a big ceremony in the Kodak Theater the way they always are.
Who cares? It's 1 year,
but like it's 1 year, and I think certain things have to move forward, and it's kind of about honoring movies anyway. So I would like to see them try. We're going to try and help them figuring out what they should nominate a little bit later in the show. But yeah, for now, I'm hoping the Oscars don't move their date.
Do you feel it? I think you brought up a great point. whether they move it or not, we won't know until probably the beginning of next year, even with everything shuffling. So what I think will give you your answer, you brought it up, TIFF, Telluride. Those are some of the just look at their lineups from last year and be like, oh, those are the ones that go end up getting the Best Picture noms. Exactly. So if they're not there to boost the season, to open up the season, then you're going to get your answer whether they're going to be delayed. I would love for them. I agree with you as well. We're the most critical of the Oscars because you're most critical of what you love, what you appreciate, what you grew up watching. And we talked about their stock being low. A lot of points were invested recently. Their stocks have not gone down. They've just been paused. And if this upcoming year they do something, it is going to be dependent on people still releasing movies, though. So it is dependent on these studios just shutting up and finding a way to get the movies to the public, as they're going to have to do eventually, depending on how long this takes. Honoring the year, in a way, would be the best thing for them to do. Like, I know the delay about the month, but I think you still honor the year.
Yeah,
regardless.
And I don't think this has to be some kind of sweeping change thing where if they allow movies that were only on streaming this year, that changes the Oscars for the future. Like, these are special circumstances, and I think you can say these are special circumstances.
We get it. We understand. The South by Amazon thing, I think, is a fantastic example of that, where they're doing a one-time streaming for it.
Well, that's about as good of a transition as any. We're going to head to our interview section where we answer the questions submitted by you, the Intercuties, and Blind Man Al leads us off with a question about what we think about the South by Southwest deal with Amazon to bring the festival online, screening films through Amazon, and potentially sharing some of the streaming profits with these films. Art, what did you think when the announcement came out?
So I know that South by has had a couple of these that they've been trying to do. They have put the shorts up on another website that is available for you to watch anywhere in the country. The stipulations with this one is that South by and Amazon have officially worked on something. I had a press link to see some of the stuff, and if it's anything like that, this is what you need to know. The Amazon one by Southwest screening thing will happen at the end of April. It is only for U.S. residents, so unless you got a VPN, I don't even know how that works with Amazon, if they have precautions there. But it will only be certain films that have option to be going there. So some of you are looking at that South by lineup like, ooh, I can't wait to see this. Some of them have already been picked up. Like I said, the shorts are already available elsewhere. Some will be coming out, like The Lovebirds on Netflix. Oh, probably by the time you're watching this episode. So, I can't say get fully excited, but it will be interesting to see which movies decide to go on there. But out of the movies that we saw available for us on the press thing, some really good ones. Really love Donut King. But it's not going to be the major ones because, like you said, they're trying to split profits with them. The other ones are going to be have postponed until they get a theatrical one, and they're not changing their minds. And the other ones will be coming out on Apple. They'll be coming out on Netflix. They'll be coming out on other things. So I think the reason they're allowing this is because they're not scared of it.
Exactly. I mean, when they announced this, of course, you gotta wonder like what movies would even want to sign up for this situation, because part of the thing that makes a festival like South by Southwest so exciting is they're able to bring some like really big movies and do kind of special things for them. I know a lot of people were really excited last year when Long Shot, the Seth Rogen, Charlize Theron movie, came out, and they had Boys to Men there doing a performance. And, like,
they gave out jackets.
That type of like festival energy, like there's just no way to recreate that. Not to mention that like there's no benefit to the new Judd Apatow movie King of Staten Island to just be available on Amazon for people when they're expecting this movie to go out into theaters and make money. It's just that like while it's in theory an exciting thing, and I am excited for the short filmmakers who are going to get an opportunity to showcase their work that would otherwise not get this type of showcase. It's just such a bastardized version of the festival that I don't know if it's necessarily the kind of thing to get excited for based on like what the announcement sounds like. South by Southwest goes on to Amazon. Like, it's not that big. There's not going to be a lot of stuff there that most people who want to go to South by even are seeking out.
I do want to highlight what you said. It is really cool for the people who need it the most. You and I go to a lot of all three of us go to several festivals, and we know the difference between the movie that's actually at the festival to be a movie that wants to try to like make it, and then the ones that are just there and they've already been picked up, but they pretend like they're fighting for something. They're just playing the festival circuit. They're pretending to be something.
Putting on this downhill.
You already know what we're talking about here. Exactly. So those products, when not made available at this, like Zach said, announcement of South by Southwest, a month after. You're right. I hope it does not come off like that, because if this is a South by Southwest online a festival that's supposed to be super exciting, y'all can't come up with anything. We've been online for a while. We can come up with stuff. Y'all are an organization. Come up with something that could be really cool. I'm hopeful, but I'm not banking on it that it's going to be massive, because again, I don't think they would do something so cool that would make people go, yo, do that again.
Right.
Because once you do it once, people are going to ask you to do it again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. CK Dine wants to know some documentaries to binge. Has been looking for some new documentaries to check out. There's always good stuff there. Two of my favorites from last year that I recommend to anybody who will listen to me are Honeyland, which is available on Hulu, and Midnight Family, which is underseen, and I think you can get on VOD now. So those are a couple of great ones. And Minding the Gap, I believe, is still on Hulu. One of my favorite documentaries of the decade. Lots of good stuff. What documentaries jump to mind for you guys?
You got any, Fernando?
One I think I'll talk about later, but other ones that I've seen recently, I saw Paris is Burning for the first time during this quarantine.
What'd you think?
I thought it was a really great documentary about a world that I wasn't like super familiar with, and it's really beautiful from the 90s. If you have Criterion Channel, I believe it's on there.
I was about to ask.
It's also on the Criterion Collection.
Are you liking it?
Oh, I love it. I think it's
beautiful, right?
It's awesome, yeah. Another one, which I kind of consider my favorite documentary, is Citizen 4. I believe it's on Amazon Prime. It's about the Edward Snowden whistleblowing case, directed by, I believe it's Laura Poitras. Incredible documentary. It really opens your eyes to a lot of how this country is run. And it's just another one of those documentaries. Some of my favorite documentaries are the ones that make you go, how did they get this footage? How were they able to do this? And that's definitely one for me. And then, Honeyland also on Hulu. Incredible.
I'm gonna go down the top 4 and then give a recommendation that you may have to get on VOD. If you got HBO, I'm gonna recommend 2 McMillions. Fantastic series right now. I believe it wrapped up. It was a Sundance series talking about the the millions that were stolen from McDonald's in the Monopoly ring. And then I would also recommend one of my personal favorites that is on HBO, The Imposter. Ooh. A crazy thriller. So those 2, McMillions and The Imposter on HBO. If you're on Netflix, I'm going to recommend 2 series. So these are very bingeable. We've mentioned Cheer and the Aaron Hernandez one. So these are a little bit fresher, more newer ones. Yeah. You already know Tiger King. Netflix has a bunch of bingeable series, but the 2 I would like to highlight are Cheer, which I think did a fantastic job breaking down that cheer squad. And even if you're not into cheerleading, trust me, it's pretty crazy. And then what was the other one?
Just the documentary filmmaking in Cheer is so good. The other one you said was Aaron Hernandez.
Did you guys get a chance to see that one?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fascinating one.
Check it out, Fernando. Amazon Prime. I don't know what's on Amazon Prime, to be honest with you, in terms of documentaries. But I will say, well, actually, no. Lorena's on Amazon Prime, so that one's gripping. I'll put it that way.
I know that Hale County this evening, it was nominated for an Oscar a couple years ago.
What am I talking about? Yeah, and One Child Nation. There you go. Yeah. Those 2.
Oh,
Hale County and One Child
Yeah.
Nation. There you go. And then in terms of Hulu, I got to talk about one of my personal favorites over here when it comes to... but you're talking about personal favorite. I don't even know the name. The Untitled documentary. Yeah. I still wish they kept Untitled documentary as the name. But those would be my picks for HBO, Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu. But if you have the chance, I don't think it is streaming anywhere. But some of the best storytelling I've seen in terms of documentaries. Dear Zachary. And that's not my boy Zachary. This is a movie called Dear Zachary. It is crazy. They have this one's I would recommend. We usually say, here's your streaming pick and your VOD pick. Purchase it. They actually have a really cool Blu-ray that has updated stuff, because this is an older movie and it is. Yeah. Y'all have seen it, right?
I haven't seen it,
course.
But I know about it. Yeah.
It is maybe the most devastating documentary you'll ever watch. So just a warning for those who are about to ruin their nights.
I said best storytelling. I didn't say you weren't gonna cry your eyes out. Yeah. But those are my picks.
Another one real quick that I don't know if it's on streaming anywhere, but I think it would be kind of cool to watch during this time is a movie called The Wolf Pack, which is about this group of brothers that unfortunately are put in a position where they aren't allowed to leave their house because of their family. And in order to like entertain themselves and be creative, they like recreate movie scenes that they like. The director, Crystal Moselle, she's now working in narrative. She directed Skate Kitchen, which came out a couple years ago, which that's now turning into a TV
series
show on HBO. I forgot what the name of it was, coming out soon, with the same Skate Kitchen girls. And yeah, I think it's really cool and might, give some of you guys some creativity during this time.
Dope. Good pick.
I'll throw it back to one more classic documentary because we've been naming a lot of recent stuff, and unfortunately, it looks like this one's not available on any of the major streaming services. The Thin Blue Line, the Errol Morris classic documentary that helped overturn a murder case. It's just such a formative piece of documentary filmmaking in the way that it looks at true crime and analyzes it and looks at it from every angle. And just a small little tidbit that I absolutely love about the movie is that it uses reenactments to help show you different people's stories, help visualize it. But Errol Morris said that every single reenactment done in that movie is something that didn't actually happen. So just a really interesting inversion to the way you normally experience a documentary.
I haven't seen that one, but I can't remember what we were researching up. That kept popping up because it was an example of a piece of media that actually overturned a case. It reminds me of Tower. I don't know if you've seen it. I have 47 other documentaries to go off, gentlemen. It reminds me of Tower, which also did something similar. But yeah, I'm sure we can name documentaries all day.
Yeah, lots of good stuff out there. So make sure to check out all those documentary picks and make sure to leave us a question in the YouTube comments or by emailing us, intercutpod@gmail.com, to get it featured on the next show. You can also reach out to us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Our handle is @intercutpod on all three. Be an intercutie and send us your movie, TV, and entertainment questions. Guys, it's topic of the week time, and this week's topic is the quarter-year Oscars, because we've gotten through 3 out of 12 months in the 2020 calendar, so we are quarter of the way done with new movie releases, and it might be a little bit further than that given our current lack of movie theaters and theatrical releases. There's been a joke kind of going around on Twitter of like, Bloodshot's gonna win the Oscar for Best Picture. Sonic is gonna get nominated for Best Picture, you guys. And it made me think that we're not doing enough to actually highlight the movies that are really good, that have come out. So in a way, this is going to be talking about some of the best movies of the year so far, but it's also to highlight some individual performances, individual elements of these movies. So I am going to start us off in Best Supporting Actress and then Best Supporting Actor. Not every single pick is one that's going to be necessarily Oscar worthy, but I'll let you guys react and let me know how good or bad this collection of nominees is. So we'll start it off in the Best Supporting Actress bracket, where I have Sonia Braga from Bacurau, the Brazilian movie that came out earlier this year. We also got Judy Greer in Buffaloed. I know not a lot of people caught up with that one. I liked her performance in it. Adele Hanel, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It counts, you guys. It came out this year. And given that Neon already won a Best Picture for Parasite, let's just say they can campaign behind Portrait of a Lady on Fire too. Art, I need your approval on the next one though. Hilary Swank from The Hunt. No?
Who said this?
I'm just looking. I haven't seen The Hunt. I'm basing it off of your reactions. There aren't a lot in the supporting actress or actor categories. I had to fill it out. I had to get to 5 names.
Support. Yeah, you know what? She's kind of crazy in the movie. I'll give her that. Yep. She was dedicated to being crazy. She just didn't make any sense. But yeah.
Yeah. And the one that I would actually vie for here is Talia Ryder in Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, who is the cousin.
That's fair.
Yeah. Any other supporting actresses that you'd consider here?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Huntress.
Crossbow killer.
The crossbow.
No, I have a couple for lead, but I feel like you may have gotten all the ones that I have for lead as well. If you want to give.
Well, we got Best Supporting Actor first.
Okay,
this one, This one was tough. I'll be honest with you guys. This was a tough category. I got Jim Carrey in Sonic the Hedgehog.
You're supposed to clap after nominations.
Orion Lee in First Cow. This one I actually like a lot.
Okay.
I haven't seen these movies, so Art, you got to choose for me. Bill Nye in Emma or in Hope Gap.
Okay, so it's Emma, but I personally really like him in Hope Gap.
All right.
But it's Emma.
I'm going Noah Robbins in The Assistant. I thought he was like the smarmier of the other assistants in The Assistant. And then another movie I haven't seen, but you've recommended to me, Forrest Whitaker in Burden.
Yes.
Nah.
Maybe because of this.
Maybe we don't have.
Wait.
much to work with.
You lost. You forgot someone.
Who did I forget?
Martin Lawrence and.
I was thinking about Bad Boys for Life, but I ultimately left it out.
How you put Sonic in and not Martin? Martin had that line. He said,
a good
"Hey,
point.
we're reaching the point where there's more to look back on than there is to look forward to." That hit here, okay?
Maybe it's a career achievement award for Martin Lawrence as Best Supporting Actor.
Go ahead, give me your best actresses, because I do have a couple here. I believe there's
Best
something to argue
Actress. Best Actress is definitely the easiest category of all
Right?
these to fill out so far.
for. They came
Easy.
swinging right from the beginning.
All right, so here are the 5 I ultimately went with. Haley Bennett in Swallow.
You had our 5? Oh, I had her top
Sydney
3.
Flanagan, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
Also top 3.
Betty Gilpin in The Hunt.
It's top 5 for me personally, but okay.
Noemi Merlant in Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And Elizabeth Moss in The Invisible Man.
I would add Amy Ryan in Lost Girls. I really did like
Oh, okay.
Right? I personally like
We've also got Annette Bening, Hope Gap, who you were talking about a lot last
I do
year.
like her in that.
Zoe Dutch in Buffalo, I thought was really good.
I like Buffalo, yeah.
If you want, do you want to throw Margot Robbie in Birds of Prey into consideration? I don't know.
You know what? I'll even throw what's her for Horse Girl.
Oh, Alison Brie.
Yeah.
Brie.
Do you mind if I add The Last Thing He Wanted?
No.
I was wondering if I could also add To All the Boys. No, we completely forgot Emma.
Yeah,
I
Anya.
would put her in there as well. I thought she did a pretty good job, better than Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
agree with
Best
you.
Actress, pretty stacked among all these categories. I think there's at
Exactly.
least 5 good names.
yeah, I think out of all the categories, if we were to look through all the Oscar ones, this is the only one we can come up with something that isn't laughable.
Right.
All right, what else? we got?
I had some trouble with Best Actor. Let's go with Ben Affleck in The Way Back.
Ooh, yeah.
Fernando, Levon Gelbakhiani in And Then We Danced. Did I get the name right? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Bro.
the main guy. Yeah, he's good.
Yo, I'll give him a thumbs up. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Another Burden, Garrett Hedlund. I threw in there.
You know,
I
this
don't know.
would
I
be
haven't
his
seen
year.
Burden yet.
This would be his year. You know, when they say like, yo, all the chances, you know, if we get a good just shot through, Burden has a chance. This is that chance. This is the 1 out of a million possibilities.
Yeah. I got John Magaro in First Cow. I thought he was really good in First Cow. And then Lakeith Stanfield in The Photograph, mostly because, like, I'm running out of male leads at this point.
Here, I got you. So we got The Call of the Wild featuring Harrison Ford. Spencer Confidential, I thought was the best performance I've ever seen.
Stop.
Someone trying to get rid of their past. The Boy? From The Boy?
The boy.
From The Boy. I will say this one, and I'm sure it doesn't count. But you know what? I know Portrait don't count because that was last year, sadly. And what was the other one? I think Bacurau sadly doesn't count. And I keep saying it wrong. I hope it's Bacurau.
Yeah.
That one also
counts
counted
either.
for last year, sadly, too, because they submitted in. HBO has a little movie coming out. I'm not allowed to say anything about it, but let's say someone got it at TIFF. So I don't think that's embargoed. I don't get how embargoes worked. But there is a movie starring Hugh Jackman, and I think Hugh Jackman should be nominated. I could say that. There's nothing behind that.
I think because it's going on HBO, it'll be an Emmy contender and not an Oscar contender. But he's very good in that movie, and some of the supporting actors. Annette Bening. Allison Janney, also very good in Bad Education.
Yeah, Allison Janney was good. You're right. If it doesn't count, then I'll swip him out for Ed Helms and Coffee and Kareem. Netflix's original movies.
Guys, we're forgetting Will Ferrell and Downhill.
Stop. Like, I saw
Fernando.
it, and I didn't even bother to make the joke because that meant we had to
Fernando,
talk about Downhill again.
I'm
What's
sorry.
what
You're
other category?
joking. You're joking, but I had Will Ferrell in my original
no.
5.
No.
All right. I got Best Picture as The Assistant, Emma, First Cow, Invisible Man, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, Onward, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Swallow, and The Way Back. That's 10. It's probably too many. So we can get rid of The Way Back if we want. We can get
Yeah,
rid
'cause
of
usually not.
Emma or Onward if we want. Swallow, maybe. I don't know. But I feel like there's a few really interesting movies in there, from The Assistant to First Cow. Invisible Man is really interesting for a blockbuster, and we loved Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, great movie.
Well, here's the thing: you kind of have to be realistic with it, and there's always going to be think about it last year. This sounds like a perfect list to you, but this is the Oscars list, so you will have
Right.
Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always with its 3 nominations. But when Bloodshot comes in with its 11 nominations and a half, you have to take into effect, and it may sweep some.
It's Vin's year. It's Vin Diesel's year.
He said, "I'm gonna get an Oscar for Furious 7," and when he did it, he was furious. So now this is his year. He's doing everything in his power.
Yeah.
Never,
So,
Rarely,
I don't know,
Sometimes,
I mean-
Always would be the only one. I would say.
Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is the one out of all these that I've mentioned that I would expect, or at least hope, would remain in contention throughout the year. But I do think, you look at movies like First Cow and movies like Swallow and movies like The Assistant, and there's a lot of really strong stuff there and strong performances, with strong crafts work going on in some of these movies.
Yeah.
I know that you had some thoughts on some of the other categories that might
I went all out.
could potentially
I know-
be represented.
Yeah, I know in animation we only have Onward and Trolls, but I will say, if we're looking towards the rest of the year, animation is the one where a lot of people have continued to work or have always worked, from different locations. Onward, Trolls is coming out as well, so I guess there's that, whatever songs come with that. But I did have, in terms of costumes, I did go through all the behind-the-scenes stuff for Emma, and they went all out with their costuming. I had another one that I was going to mention here. With Invisible Man, I think what they did with it going to streaming is putting it into, we're all at home. That includes Academy voters. And guess what's the only great performance that they have in front of them? That's literally their, it's Invisible Man. They've seen it. Depending on how long it goes, depending on how long studios decide, should we restart giving people more stuff?
Yeah.
That is the only literal contender like we've been talking about right now. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Or will it be forgotten once we all get bombarded at the end of the year when they decide to release 47 movies in theaters?
Probably.
Right.
I also love the Oscar people. Yeah, we're gonna release. Haven't y'all already been complaining about blockbusters not having room for you? Like, do you understand what I'm saying here? Am I the only one seeing this? We complain about this every week, and they're like, "Yeah, let's just hold off." It's already competitive
Yeah.
now. It won't be that competitive when we come back with everybody
It'll
wanting
be
to release.
really interesting to see how these movies make some room or some space for each other. Like if we have the room to talk about half these movies, we're gonna
Exactly.
maybe be inundated with Christopher Nolan movie after Wes Anderson movie after who knows.
The craziest movie date of all time. Watch some
Yeah,
people waited
yeah.
all the way for a year just to then release online because there was no room. That would suck.
That would, yeah.
Fernando, I was gonna ask you, do you have like a top 5 of movies that have come out so far this year? Maybe if people are looking for some stuff to catch up with, these are the ones they could start on.
Yeah, so you asked me to make a top 10. The bottom half's kind of, it's not that rough. Only number 10's kind of rough. At number 10, I had to put Sonic. I haven't seen as many of the VOD things as you guys have yet. I'm still gotta catch up with Never, Rarely. Gonna try to catch Bacurau and Swallow. 9 through 1 is pretty decent. So I have Birds of Prey at 9. Fun movie. At number 8, technically it counts for this year, even though I know you guys saw it last year. Big Time Adolescence came out this year on Hulu. Finally
That's
checked
fair.
it out. Really fun, pretty funny movie. Enjoyable time. The Platform on Netflix. We talked about it. We have a LUE on it. Pretty enjoyable also. At number 6, I have a movie I caught early in the year. This seems like forever ago now, but Wuthering With You, an anime movie.
Right.
Also really enjoyed it for what it was. 5, I have Invisible Man, which is on VOD. 4, I have And Then We Dance, which you mentioned earlier with the leading actor. I believe it's on a lot of the indie movie theaters that are doing that service.
With
Kino Lorber
with
at
Kino
home thing.
Lorber.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you can rent that too also on VOD. Number 3, I think it's also coming out on VOD soon, and this is like a very personal pick, but it's the Impractical Jokers movie that came out earlier.
You're a big fan of them, though. You watched them, right?
I love them. I've seen like every single episode of the show. This was the last movie I saw in theaters, guys. I saw it in the theater that was like 40 minutes away from me, and I thought it was
Actually,
hilarious.
This one was pretty funny. Yep.
Yeah, so like if you like their comedy, you'll love this. Like you'll laugh like crazy. And then number 2, I have Onward, which is now on Disney Plus. And then my number 1 is Crip Camp, which is a documentary
Right.
that I mentioned earlier. Play at Sundance, really emotional, very powerful. And it's on Netflix if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah, and the Crip Camp is the latest Netflix documentary that comes with the Obama's produced by thing on it. And last year, American Factory ended up winning Best Documentary at the Oscars. So, we have a potential Best Documentary contender available streaming on Netflix right now.
That was dope.
For me, in my top 10, I've got Resistance, the J.C. Eisenberg movie that just came out, The Assistant, Buffaloed, Swallow, The Platform, Big Time Adolescence, The Invisible Man, First Cow, Never Early, Sometimes Always, and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Might have been 9. I think that was 10 movies. Art, do you have like a quick top 5, top 10?
Never Rarely, Swallow, as you guys said, and then we danced, Bakurao, I believe is how you pronounced it. The only other one that I would add that you guys haven't is St. Francis. I was able to catch that at South by last year, and I believe it got a form of VOD, form of VOD release. It also had won some stuff at Chicago Critics. I thought that was a pretty good movie. So yeah, I would recommend that one.
I'm curious about that one.
Yeah.
All right, so there are a bunch of interesting movies that 2020 has offered us so far. Hopefully you've caught some of them. Maybe you can leave us your best movies of the year so far in the comments down below, and we'll feature some of those on our Instagram and such. But I think we want to get to our final segment, the New to See, where we give you our picks for the week. And we're expanding this a little bit because there's a lot of options out there, and people are looking for stuff to watch. All the different streaming networks out there and other platforms. So, Art, why don't you kick us off? I think you've got a long list of different options that people can check out.
Yeah, going down to the big 4, like I said, obviously we have Disney and we have Apple, but I feel like most people, they're not looking for new content there. Plus, a lot of people have HBO, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Hulu. So, starting off with HBO, which has a perfect split of, I want to say, like the really big movies that have been coming out with its partnership with Warner Bros. I don't know how that changed with HBO Max. But in terms of movies, breaking them down between comedy, thriller, all that stuff. Comedy, I got Big Mama's House 2. Thriller, I got Clock Stoppers. The drama, they have two of the best originals from them is Blind Spotting and The Tale. We have talked about both of those, and I would highly recommend, if you have the time to go see that. Action, Upgrade. Horror, The Others. I think there's a lot of classics. What I've really loved about this time, when there isn't a bunch of new movies, is that people are finally asking, and a lot of people always did, but a lot more people are finally asking, what are some good classics? What are some older stuff now?
Right.
And hopefully they go to there. They also have Birds of Passage, which would be my Fest pick.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any HBO shows, because I know that'll probably be the ones that you guys have recommendations for.
For me, something that we've talked about a lot on this show is High Maintenance, which has just concluded its 4th season. Hopefully, it'll be back for a 5th. And I thought it's gorgeous as ever. I love when they do the kind of like experimental episodes, and I believe episode 4 is basically following the life of a lighter. From when it's first used until when its last flame goes out. And it's just one of those things that like only High Maintenance would try an episode like that, and it's oddly poignant, oddly beautiful. Like I got a tear in my eye from a flame going out. Like that's pretty awesome. And then Curb Your Enthusiasm, back for I want to say season 10. 20 years since it first started. I want to say that this is the first season that Jeff Schaffer has joined the show. And Jeff Schaffer is one of the guys who ran The League on FX, another improvised comedy. So you're getting that injection of there's a little bit of like a more manic energy, I think, to The League. And I think also he's brought a level of filmmaking that you rarely see in Curb Your Enthusiasm, which has primarily been a show based on like shooting back and forth, and now they're kind of expanding to some more visual set pieces. This has been one of the strongest runs that Curb Your Enthusiasm has ever been on. The Spite Store and The Wedding. There's so many funny things that happen on this season. So I highly recommend it. You don't need to go back. You just can jump right into the 10th season and enjoy all the funny jokes on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I've never seen an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it
Really?
sounds like it would be my favorite show. Chase
I
always
think you'd love
recommends it.
I think
he's
you'd love
so
it.
funny too, dude. They asked him, like, how's the quarantine been been affecting you? He goes, "There's no invites." Great.
Everybody, when this whole quarantine lockdown thing started happening, the first thing I saw people saying is like, Larry, we need a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode about this situation. He would kill it. He's the number one person we want to hear from. Yeah.
It's really interesting that you said that the new aesthetics that they're going for, because one of the things that's really caught me while we were traveling, there was a Curb Your Enthusiasm ads everywhere in the hotels we were staying, and they added this, like, I thought they were cool because they added the text to his mouth.
Yeah.
And I had seen that before somewhere else, and I was like, oh damn, I've always been wanting to do the listen. So when I saw
The
him,
oi
they
thing?
put the oi, and I was like, I don't know why it stood out to me. Now you're telling me that they're doing something different. So I was like, okay, makes sense. Hey, now I know why. I should definitely hop on it. Yeah, I've heard some great things.
Fernando, anything on HBO?
Nothing that I'm currently watching, but things I would be interested in. I know they recently came out saying that they put a bunch of stuff for free to stream.
Finally catch up on Succession, guys. Let's go.
Succession and Barry would be the two I'd jump on first.
Yes.
Ooh, good picks.
But definitely older things, because I know HBO's been around for a long time. Older things. I've never seen Sopranos, which is, a classic TV series.
You got time?
That's one that I really want to go back and properly watch.
Yeah, and then another one I'd probably, the same thing as you just properly watch would be Band of Brothers. I don't know if that's part of it, but Band of Brothers is another one of those classic HBO series.
That's a miniseries. That was the OG miniseries that I remember. Obviously, there was some before it and such, but I remember that being yo, this is a big movie.
Yeah.
It's not TV, it's HBO.
It's not TV, it's HBO, baby. That's dope. Those are good picks. I want to move on to the Netflix stuff. I have a couple of picks for Netflix. Obviously, it's pretty big. In terms of movies, I'll mention 3 right here. I think the thriller Invisible Guest is a really good one, and I know that that's been one that some people have picked up. The people who take the recommendation tend to like it, and the people who have yet to see it, here's your time to catch it. I would also recommend I Lost My Body, an animation from last year that did get the Oscar push, so in case, you wanted some more recognition to it, there is definitely that going there. And most recently, The Occupants, another pretty good, I don't really call it a thriller, but another pretty good film from Netflix. And then the TV shows. Wherever the hell y'all want to start, it's Netflix. Ozark, I'll throw one out there. Dark, I'll throw one out there. I'll actually say this, if you guys don't have anything. I've told Zach this many times. I believe there is a through line. I have said this multiple times. Netflix has Easy. And so Apple TV has the
Little America.
And,
yeah, they're different anthology slice of life shows.
Exactly. And people have always, we know the difference between Game of Thrones and we know the other Game of Throners. Or, oh man, House of Cards and the other one. Bro, they're starting to get good now. They're starting to all not just have Easy, Little America, and High Maintenance for HBO. Those are good.
Modern Love you like on HBO?
Modern Love from Amazon. Dude, I was watching this thing on Amazon called Tales from the Loop.
Ooh.
Oh, I think I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't tell me that is dark on Netflix, I literally, Zach, watched the first episode. That's not to take away from it. It's dark on Netflix, homie.
Or another one that comes to mind when you say that is...
You get what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, is the Black Mirror on Netflix versus the Hulu, what's it called? Into the Dark or whatever?
They all need their own form, which is cool. It's interesting. But I noted that yet again when I literally saw the exact premise of Dark, but in English on Tales from the Loop. So yeah, they're getting even bigger on that. Easy, Glow, American Vandal, Russian Doll, Dead to Me, whatever you guys have to highlight. It's Netflix.
All those are good shows. I'll jump on your Ozark recommendation just because that 3rd season just happened. And it's actually a show that I found myself souring on a little bit in its 2nd season. Although I liked elements of it, I feel like there are ways in which the show sometimes ends up being a little bit too... simple, I don't know, in my mind. I think it got a lot more interesting in the third season. I liked the third season more. I think it's juggling more balls in the air and giving everybody something interesting to do on the show. And the way that they've progressed the relationship between Laura Linney and Jason Bateman is the one thing that this show might have on Breaking Bad. It just
I was about to say it, and then you did, yes. Because obviously with my recommendation as well, I was like, that's the one thing Laura Linney has, because we've known it's been called Breaking Bad Light. And I think that's almost unfair to Ozark, because it is its own show, but it really is, under the shadow of that, and that's definitely the one thing that it has on it.
Yeah. But it is a fun crime show, and if you are missing something that gives you that kind of thriller suspense thing that Breaking Bad did, it's almost there. It's definitely worth watching if you like that style. Enjoyable, not like mind-blowing in any capacity, but enjoyable.
Sounds good. Any quick Netflix one from you, Fernando, before I move to Prime?
Yeah, I just said When They See Us.
Oh, When They See Us, of course. Amazon Prime is pretty interesting because they actually, I want to say, have very big heavy hitters when it comes to movies, from Midsommar, Hereditary, Under the Silver Lake. They have Warrior, they have Fallout. They have Patterson, which if you're at home and you're getting sick and tired of your loved ones who you're cuddling with at night, watch Patterson and appreciate it. Birdcage, I think, would be a nice classic for people to go back to watch. They Came Together, one of my personal favorite comedies. The Handmaiden. Ooh, The Handmaiden. And it also has The Imposter on there.
Yeah.
There's more. Honey Boy, Les Miserables. Like, there's so many great movies on Amazon Prime. I was really surprised to see. The one show that I would recommend, other than Undone, Homecoming, because a new trailer just dropped today when we were recording this for the sequel that stars Janelle Monáe. So let's go. Watch Homecoming. The first, I'm going to call it the first part. The first season was really good.
Absolutely.
Zach put me onto it, so.
Something that I discovered in the last week or so about Amazon, a lot of people on Twitter complain that Netflix doesn't really have a plethora of older films. Amazon has all of them. Amazon has stuff that I've been meaning to watch, like His Girl Friday. I finally saw The African Queen for the first time. It has Stagecoach, the John Ford movie. It has a lot of those classic Hollywood movies that you've always heard you should watch, but you never had the time to. You might have the time to now. I would check those out on Amazon, as well as 000. Have you guys heard about this show?
No.
This is a really cool show, you guys. So I was watching it. I was like, this thing reminds me of Sicario. Turns out it's the guy who directed Day of the Soldado. It's a multilingual, continent-hopping, drug-running show that shows you the full process of international drug smuggling. It's got a section with the Italian mafia. It's got a section with the Mexican cartels. It's got a section with these American shipping companies. You got Dane DeHaan, Gabrielle Byrne, Andrea Riseborough trying to navigate it all. Mogwai doing the score, which is just awesome. I was just blown away by this show's first episode. It's dense, but it's so interesting. And I'm going to definitely check out more of it.
Interesting.
Damn, yeah, I got to check this out. I had never heard of this show. 000, all spelled out the word. Gotcha.
Yes, okay. Yes. I think Stephen King recently said it was one of the best things he's watching on Twitter.
Dope. There we go. Hey. All right. That's dope. What about you, Fernando?
On Amazon. I think an easy show to binge that's on Amazon that's always trustworthy is Fleabag. I know recently they announced that they're putting her stage performance on VOD, which is something I'm interested in. But yeah, Fleabag's always a good go-to.
Also, just so you know, for those who may not have Amazon Prime, they do have a thing called, because Amazon owns IMDb, which a lot of people don't know and don't realize. But IMDb TV is a free use. It's an ad-supported platform, which means that there's a bunch of free movies on there. Just like Vudu has it, just like Pluto, just like YouTube. Those free movies on YouTube that they have ads on, they're fully legal, and that is technically Amazon's version. So just like Zach was saying, there's a bunch of movies on Amazon Prime, but even IMDb TV has a bunch of free movies that, Quibi want to charge you ads for whatever it is. They're free. They sit through the ads already, but they do offer a lot of older movies and some pretty good ones too. So an option in case you're running out of stuff.
You got some Hulu?
Oh,
yeah, I think you
I have Hulu? Hulu's my pick of the week, completely. Like, all right. So the final one that I have right here is Hulu, and they literally take it all. I was also gonna have the VOD of the week, which I'll bring up right here early on. These are a little bit different recommendations because this is me telling you what I am going to watch. The VODs for The Other Lamb and Sea Fever, 2 TIFF movies that I've been very excited to watch. So.
I've heard great things about The Other Lamb particularly.
So, yeah, April at least, I was worried I wasn't going to have anything new to watch because usually we catch everything a little bit early, but these were 2 that I missed, and I'm very excited for it. But if you wanted to, you can't leave your house, but for $9.99, which is what a lot of these streaming services are at, and Hulu's even a little bit cheaper, bro, how much is a Hulu account?
Not that much, to be honest.
I don't think that much.
It's as much as renting a VOD, and you get it for the whole month.
Right.
Hulu has, in terms of movies right now, let me just tell you some of the other stuff that was there. Free Solo. They also have Palm Springs, Bad Hair, a couple of the upcoming ones, but a bunch of other stuff they have there, including the entire Neon collection, which not only includes Portrait of a Lady on Fire that we talked about before, but by the time you are watching this, Parasite will be out. Then, like I said, the entire Neon collection. I don't know what movies you guys have, but when I was on Quibi, one of the 2 shows that really popped out was Will Forte's show, which was called Flipped. It also stars the actress from Always Sunny. While I was watching Flipped in its 7-minute segments, I realized, they are way funnier on The Last Man on Earth and Always Sunny, which are on Hulu. So as I just said, for the price of Quibi, you can get Hulu and see the best pictures of last year. So Hulu is my recommendation of the week. I think they've been pulling through, and we even alluded to it earlier in the episode. Even the best stuff that's supposed to be going on Disney Plus is skipping that and going straight to Hulu. So
yeah,
and they have Dave.
They have Dave. Yeah.
The reason to get Hulu. Make sure you're up on.
What
Dave.
y'all got from Hulu? Hulu's got good stuff, man.
Fernando, you have any Hulu picks?
Hulu's really underrated. One show of theirs that I think I've mentioned it at least twice that I still haven't seen, but I'm going to is Devs.
Yes.
Because I'm really interested in that.
I've seen Devs.
Oh, you saw it?
I've seen Devs.
As is how much of it's I recommend?
Yeah. I need you guys to catch up on this because our boy Alex Garland is on one.
I love him so much. But yeah, I need to watch it.
He's one of those few guys where like you watch his sci-fi movies and it actually feels like this is the future. Like he's visited it and come back and depicted it for us. Not to mention he's got this really fucking cool approach to his stuff. Just there's a slick quality to his images and every color is so clean. The performances are so detailed. I'm really into this vision he has. There's some shots that are just so unsettling and cool. It's been the most visually compelling show I think I've watched so far this year.
Yeah, it's definitely one I gotta see.
That sounds dope.
What else? I mean, Rick and Morty's on Hulu. Oh,
yeah,
Hulu?
Yeah.
What?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say Rick and Morty, and then Drake and Josh is on Hulu, guys. Like,
I was gonna say, believe it or not, Hulu is the one place that I go back and actually rewatch the most. Gumball, Broad City, those are my go-to shows. So to be honest with you, Hulu tends to have those shows that you rely back on. Those are my office. That's how I would put it. And like I said, Hulu also had a lot of pickups from Sundance that I'm really hoping. I don't know how they're going to play it up, whether they're going to chop them up again. But we've seen a lot of VODs get like updated a little bit early, so I don't know if they're going to decide to put some of these spring ones out there. So I don't know. That'll be pretty interesting. But as you guys mentioned, the stuff on FX that they have a deal with, so it's like all the stuff that's on FX is coming out weekly for them. Devs is one. I think Dave is the other one. So they're pretty stacked for what it's worth. So I'm really excited for Hulu. And then they have bundle deals. I think one of the good things to go back on, you had mentioned HBO's got the whole free thing going on at the moment. Amazon Prime is going to be putting the South by Southwest Festival at the end of April. So just to bring that up again for you guys. And for Hulu, I don't know of anyone else currently who has a better package than hosting all of Neon for you. That includes the best pictures of last year and then has some killer series. And then Alina was reminding me as we were comparing the Quibi model to Hulu because Hulu charges but still gives you ads. Then we realized why it was superior. Because Hulu also allows you to watch TV the day after it premieres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots.
I don't know what else
lot
to
to
tell you.
offer on Hulu.
I really hope they don't screw it up, yeah.
Even the stuff that's not Hulu original is just that they've got stuff like Rick and Morty or stuff like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep.
Is so much to fill out that catalog.
Let me give you
and
some
while we're
over
talking
here.
about neon movies, I'll throw out Beach Rats. That was on my picks for the week for last week. So
Pen 15. I was going to say, all of their awkward shows, too. Like, I don't know how they let them do that. I really hope Disney continues this. They let Rami, Shrill, difficult people, they let them do some of the craziest stuff. So I really hope that continues because with the Disney overseeing it now,
right.
I don't know. I hope that they can continue making the content that I've personally really liked coming out of them. So those are all of our picks. Hopefully you have a lot to watch.
Yeah, there should be a lot of options in there for you, no matter what streaming platform you have. There's also Disney Plus, which we didn't really mention because it's got all the old faithfuls. But you got Onward on there now. You got Frozen 2 on there now, too, if you really want it. So, plenty of stuff. But those are our picks. And I think that's just about it for this week on the Intercut podcast. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. That's ZSHEV, as in VoxLux, also on Hulu, ICH. And check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/multiplexshowart. Oh, Fernando, you go first. Where can people find more from you?
You guys can find more of me on Twitter. You can follow me at border_logic. Also, if you guys want to follow my Letterboxd, which is Fernando_films.
Very cool. Art?
You can find me on Quibi over at the 3 selected Intercut shows that we will be doing. You can tune in on a daily basis. Or you can follow us here for free on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, over at Let Me Explain, A to Z Show, and every week here at the Intercut Podcast.
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on your favorite podcatcher. I like Overcast. And then make sure you subscribe not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well. YouTube.com/IntercutPod. You can catch our bright, smiling faces as we break down the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of Intercut every Friday. Even during all this lockdown, we're here. We're bringing you the content. Stay subscribed. Please leave us a comment, like the videos, consider heading over to iTunes to give us that juicy 5-star review. Like our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. All of them are at IntercutPod to get updates throughout the week from Art, from me, from Fernando, from all the guests that we feature here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, stay at home.
Simple as that.